What we know is a droplet, truth in our hands. What we don't know is an ocean, swallowing lands. We chase the light through the spiral of night, but the deeper we go, the less is in sight. A circle and the center is gone. Every truth I touch just bleeds into dawn. Echoes of tomorrow whisper through today, but the meaning dissolves when I try to stay. A droplet of knowing, a flood still concealed. The tides of the unseen will never be healed. Through corridors bending in shadow and flame, we reach for the answer, but none is the same. Memories collide in the corridors of thought. The map is incomplete, but we keep what we're taught. Fate feels rigged, but the dice still roll. We're fragments of a mirror that can't be whole. What we hold is a whisper, what we lose is the roar. The ocean of questions beats hard on the shore. We run through the spiral, we burn through the sky. The more that we ask, the less we know why. Every answer births 1,000 more. Every locked door hides another door. We're prisoners of patterns we can't unsee, but who's the prisoner? Time or me? The droplet is fragile, the ocean is vast. It swallows the present, it buries the past. We sail without compass, we drift without chart. The further we row, the more we depart. Light bends slow at the edge of our sight. Truth bends too in the absence of light. You can drown in the silence or learn to swim, but the ocean smiles and pulls you in. One drop in the palm, one storm in the deep. The waves take the secrets the ages will keep. We dive into currents no sailor can name, and surface with questions that burn just the same. Past is a ghost, future's a snare. Present is a knife, hanging in the air. Cut too deep and the blood runs black. Once you've seen the void, there's no turning back. The droplet is fleeting, the ocean will stay. It pulls at the soul in a tidal sway. We fight to remember, we fear to forget. The truth we can't reach is the one we can't get. We search for the end, but it loops to the start. We carry the ocean inside our heart. Infinity's cruel when it whispers your name, and the waves don't care if you play their game. Play the game. In the darkening sea, what we miss is the tide that decides who we'll be. We rise through the maelstrom, we fall through the foam, but the ocean decides if it calls us home. Answers are liars, questions are thieves. Every truth we find, another deceives. Time's not a river, it's a whirlpool deep, dragging our minds while we're half asleep. What we know is a droplet, and we sail all alone. What we don't know's an ocean we'll never own. Fury and flame, we drown in the question.